we're certainly excited because the Miami Heat got a bit of a surprise in the first round. Kasparas Jakučionis ended up falling to Miami at 20, where a lot of people didn't think that he was going to be there for Miami. And Illinois had a hell of a draft because they ended up having back-to-back picks go there in the first round. His teammate Will Riley went right after him. And we got the head coach of the Fighting Illini joining us here on the Toyota of Hollywood guest line. Shop over 2,000 Toyotas on sale at one location at Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan, toyotaofhollywood.com. Coach Brad Underwood joining us here on the show. Coach, how are you this morning?
Yeah, I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. Thanks for making time for us. We really appreciate it. Can you take us to draft night? Because I imagine that went from a little bit stressful because I think people thought Kasparas may have gone a little early to you have this awesome moment for your program where they both go back-to-back. What was that night like?
Yeah, very fun. I told them before the draft, both of them, expect the unexpected. You never know what's going to happen. It seems like every year that there's a shock or two, guy taken, somebody drops or slips. But truly that means nothing. The number means nothing. It's about the organization and it's about the opportunity. We've been through this before. We went through it a little bit with Ayo Dosunmu a few years ago. It ends up in a great spot. And in KJ's case, Kaspar's case, it was phenomenal. Just couldn't end up with a better organization, in a better spot, a Hall of Fame coach, two budding superstars to play with. And what a great spot for him.
One of the things that's amazing is you not only had your two players, but you coached against Vlad Golden.
Yes.
So you have you actually know about three of the players that the Heat ended up, either signing or drafting. I have an off the wall question. Is that have you ever seen two guys go in like the top 5 or 10 and that college team not make the tournament?
Yeah, I think it speaks volumes to how good our league is. I think to how good this year was just an incredible group of freshmen.
Right.
In the Big Ten. I think you look at, KJ, Will, the two Rutgers guys who you're referring to, and Ace and Harper, Derek Queen, Jace Richardson. I mean, it's just an elite year. That the league was filled with young talent. But Steve Peichel's a tremendous coach, and if you don't have all 5 spots, it's very hard to win in this league with just a couple of guys, and that was the case this year. But the league's so good top to bottom. If you don't have a stacked team and some depth, it gets very hard to win.
So, Coach, tell us a little bit about like KJ off the court. Like, what is the things that make him tick as a player? That made him so successful.
Yeah, you think about this, it probably goes understated that, you've got a young man moving across the water, 18 years old, new team, new friends, new situation, going to classes, university structure, and that's a lot of change. And then to step in and make the adjustments to handle those situations in such a mature way. KJ is very mature, beyond his years. He was a pro long before he was announced as a draft choice in his approach. He was a great student of the game, maybe the best I've ever had in terms of studying and film, and he's very serious in terms of his approach. His diet, his recovery process, his workouts are extremely disciplined. There's a young man who hadn't eaten sugar since he was 13. A guy that he's not enjoying Skittles and wings. He's very serious about that stuff, and his approach extremely competitive, and a guy that is winner first and foremost, and it's why it's such a great fit with Coach Spoelstra and the Heat.
Have you found that younger players now are more prepared for the various levels of basketball that they're going to than they were, say, 15 years ago?
I think to a certain extent, yes. I think in some ways, no. I think the physical parts of the game and the competition that they see are at an elite level. That's changed a great deal with the prep school situations and the some of these schools that stockpile talent. So it's not that they haven't seen great players. I think that the challenges is how hard it is to win in college and how hard it is to be a good college player first.
Right.
You don't just bypass all of that. You have to take the steps to do that. The strength and conditioning piece is very different. Most of these kids at the high school level have never been in shape. They think they are, but they don't know what that is until they get to this level. So I think it's it's a little bit of give and take on both of those on both sides of that. But kids are very prepared in terms of the talent, and they're not in awe of anything anymore.
Now, the thing that stood out immediately when he got drafted, we all started looking at the highlight reels. I mean, his passes are absolutely sick, Coach. The thing that this kid can pull off with the basketball. When did that pop for you when you saw, oh my God, I can't believe that he saw that or can pull those off? Did that pop immediately? Did that start developing in the season? When did you notice KJ's passing ability?
No, I'm enamored with passing, and in the recruiting process, that's what stood out the most.
Mm-hmm.
That and his ability to hit game winners. He was Mr. Clutch. But there's not a pass he can't make. And that's very, very rare for a player his age, right-handed, left-handed. It's really fun as a coach. He may have a turnover, and you ask him, what did you see? And what he sees is ahead of the game. It's ahead of most people. It's a frame or two ahead, and you as a coach, you see it. And you're just almost amazed at okay, it's hard to get mad when he turns it over because the read was right. But he is, I think he'll be great in the NBA when you eliminate the 3 seconds in the paint. The rule we have in college, it'll open the floor for him. That's why he's such a great teammate. He can elevate everybody. You're putting a lob threat with him now in pick and rolls as well. So I think that it's very exciting for me to watch him continue to develop because he is such an elite passer.
Oh yeah, so you've already thought about what him and Kalel could be like together.
It's the one thing we had a stretch five who could really shoot it, and that duo together was elite. And now you give that lob threat that'll put a lot of stress on the front of the rim.
Yeah, I'm curious about one thing, Leroy, but the turnover thing that you mentioned is interesting because it's everybody pointed that out when he got drafted, his turnover numbers. But I imagine as a coach, if you have a guy running your team and he has that creativity, you don't want to strangle that out of him either. You don't want the kid to be gun shy, especially. So how did you guys balance that with him, especially being a young kid only in his first year?
Yeah, he really grew in that area. And again, I looked at it like Luka from this standpoint. If you watch Luka turns the ball over. And KJ really grew in that area because he started to understand situations more as the season went on. And I never wanted to stunt I usually clapped when he turned it over. He had one or two where you were just okay, he's going to throw one in the third row, and you just get it out of the way now. And then he settles in and he doesn't make that play again. He's very cerebral. He's very conscientious of those things. But his situations grew. and he became more comfortable in those numbers came down.
Is KJ a player where, when he has a turnover like that and you ask him what he saw, you wait kind of for the response before you determine the level of the turnover?
Yeah, no doubt. I know what I see, and
right.
and sometimes it was more explaining to him about the situation that
right.
we were in, if than it was the turnover of the play. The play was usually always going to be the right play. It might not just have been at the right time, and it might be we need to turn that one down to get to the next option.
That's growth, though. That's from playing the game and playing at different levels. And once you learn the different, the time of it, it's kind of like a quarterback. When it's 3rd and 14 in the first quarter, you don't have to stuff it in there. But when it's 3rd and 14 in the fourth quarter and you need to win the game, sometimes you got to take chances.
That's right. And he's fearless. He knows he can make the passes. He knows he can make the plays. There's a undeniable fearless mentality with him that is really fun to coach.
What was the night like after both your guys get selected? Like, what were the emotions of that like?
Tremendous. And to go back to back, it was really neat because they went through the process then after the draft, and they do all the backstage stuff and the NBA social and all of the interviews, and they're right there together. And as a coach, you can't help but have a smile on your face. You're like the proud father. And then when it came to all the pictures and the photography, we were able to put them together. They were roommates on the road. They're very close friends. And for them to have that night in an individual way, and yet to turn around and be able to celebrate it with a teammate and a good friend, and get those pictures, it was really neat. And all their families know each other, and so it was a pretty cool after the moment type night, and had a lot of fun as a coach, enjoying that moment with them.
I heard Adam Simon that night, the Heat assistant GM, he was talking about that you guys told him that that KJ has no hobbies. Like, you always just found him in the gym, that he was that kind of crazy about it. Is that true? Is that's the type of the guy is as far as his dedication to basketball?
Yes. And I think that will it's what he knows. He's very, very, very funny. I've always said that we had a young man on our team, Tomislav Ivicic, who will be in next year's draft and one of the top guys coming back. And to listen to those two, they could make millions and millions on a podcast because they're hilarious. And Kasparas is very funny. He's got a dry humor, but he's very smart. And so he loves to sit and talk to people. He loves to he's very social that way, but he's not a guy that goes out. He's not into all the extracurriculars of the bar scene and clubs and all that. He's way more serious about the game and wants to become the best he can be, and he just doesn't think that stuff benefits him.
Well, Coach, congratulations. That's an awesome night for your program, and thanks for giving us some time talking about Kasparas Jakučionis. Absolutely, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of your summer.
All right.
You too. Take care. That's Coach Brad Underwood, head coach of the Fighting Illini. The